Hey, and welcome back to the Trainerize YouTube channel. So on this channel, we teach trainers and coaches how to accelerate their online personal training businesses. In this video, we're talking with Michelle Riley. She's a coach who went from earning a couple $100s a month coaching to over $5,000 per month. Since filming this series, Michelle's actually grown her business to generate over $10,000 per month. But how does she do it? Well, an important part of that equation is pricing. And in this video, she's going to show you all the different ways that you can price your own coaching services.
When people are getting started from, square one to being at a $5,000 per month point, how should they price? Because when you're getting started, you don't really have any reference points necessarily, unless you're training in person beforehand. So how do you suggest they price?
That's another good question. So when I first started, it wasn't really out there, what do you charge? Because and I'm just going to be very general here. When you go to one of those gyms, you have your 30-minute, $30 sessions, $45, and then 60 is a 60 or whatever have you.
Yeah.
But then when you take it online, since they're getting, maybe a full week's template, that's what I do of nutrition coaching and all that, you kind of break it down. So my rule of thumb here, and again, you know how to price your own value. For online training, just the exercises for 5 workouts that week, I'll charge $50 a week. And then if I do the combination of both nutrition coaching and personal training, I add on another $50. So that comes to $100 a week. So it's really all about your value that you're putting on your services. But that's just a kind of a general way that I price mine.
Gotcha. And is your assumption that people are working out every day? What if a client is working out, they're busy and they just want to work out twice a week, but they want to do that consistently, maybe every Tuesday, Thursday? Does the pricing stay the same at $50, or do you have a different kind of package?
So when a client wants to do just 2 times a week, I still want to give them accountability throughout the week, because I don't want them to, negate everything we've just done for example, that Tuesday to Thursday workout. So I'm still going to put in daily habits, daily activities like the walking, the mindful eating and things like that to continue bringing it to that $50 point, because I don't want to maybe necessarily devalue my services because I'm only, giving them 1 or 2 a week. But again, that's up to the person.
Yeah, totally. So at home, as you're building your own kind of services, create a tier structure of some kind. And often you'll have usually a core product, right? And then that'll be a certain price, like yours is $50 per week. And then, your add-ons could maybe be an extra 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. And it's all about, where you're at in your business journey, because you can always start charging more when you're more kind of senior, when you have a bigger base. And it also depends on how much involvement you want to have. So when you're going about pricing, if you're interacting with that client every day, charging them $50 per week is nothing. But let's say it's a little bit more hands-off, you're okay, here's 3 workouts, we'll touch base in 2 weeks. Then maybe you want to come down in price to maybe $25 a week, which is $200 a month, or maybe $100 a month. So really feel that out, see what people are willing to pay, and then, go from there, adjust, finesse, tweak, do promotions, see what works for you and what you can sustain and what people feel like they're getting value out of. So that's kind of how I would add to that as well.
Most
for the folks at home. So do you have any particular tips, Michelle, on how you upsell?
Yes. So you mentioned before kind of having that core product. So for instance, my core product would be the personal training. And then the way that I kind of upsell and bring my client to that point is by saying, okay, we've talked about your exercise. Now let's talk about your nutrition part. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think, oh yes, I have a whole slew of things I need to do with that. And I was like, okay, well, I also offer the nutrition coaching on top of that. And then other people might even have physical products like supplements that they are providing their clients, or apparel. And that's another good way, because they're already your customer. And then another thing I want to highlight is when they're at that buying point, the upselling will be a little bit easier because they're already excited about it. And they're like, yes, I would like to do that add-on, because they want to get the absolute most out of your service. So.
Totally. And if you're already spending let's say $50 a week, what's an extra $5? That $5 doesn't seem like much, but at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, that's an extra $20. At the end of the year, that's X amount. So it all adds up, all these little add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So once you get, your initial base of customers, how have you approached scaling, taking it to the next level?
So the way that I upscale my business now is I do in-person events. So I'll be in my community. I will reach out to other fitness brands, or even Trainerize here, kind of how we're collaborating in this as well.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you find other companies that kind of encompass your own message as well, and just reach out. We're kind of all based in a little bit of fear sometimes, but what's the worst they can say? No? So it's really about putting yourself out there, collaborating. Do your in-person speaking events so that people can get to know you, so that that barrier is down. You're not just someone selling a product, you're an actual person that they want to train with.
Yeah, exposure is really helpful for, building out your business, and the more exposure you can create for yourself is the better. And I've said this to Michelle before, but like one of the things that I love about Michelle as a trainer is she'll pitch herself and put herself out there. Like she's reached out to Trainerize so many times and been like, how can I help? How can I add value? And like as a company, we're excited about those opportunities. We're like, we'd love to work with you. Like, of course, why not? Let's collaborate. And it really takes putting yourself out there and just not being afraid to get rejected. Oftentimes the rejection isn't anything personal. It's just like maybe it's not a good fit, or maybe there's no time or resource to do X, Y, Z. But yeah, I think that's an amazing tip for people. And how should trainers go about pitching themselves? What process should they follow?
I really liked what you said about how can I help? How can I add value? Because if you're going to go into an email and say, I do this, this, and this, and I can benefit your company by this, the person's going to be like, okay, get off your high horse.
Yeah.
Point where you're like very authentic, very relatable. Hey, I do this, and I would like to help you any way that I can, provide value for your company. And just, again, being that authentic person and having it come from a place in your heart rather than from a place of how am I going to benefit from this later,
Yeah, no, that's very important for sure. Do you ever pitch yourself in emails generally? I know that that's how you've reached out to us before, but how could other trainers maybe think about sending a cold email to a company or something that they want to collaborate with?
Sure. So yeah, the way that I got with Trainerize is because I was kind of emailing them and pitching myself a little bit. So that is another thing. Finding these brands that, again, have your mission in mind, have your authenticity in mind. And when you reach out to them, you write something like, hi, XYZ business. I saw you on social media. I saw you on Instagram, LinkedIn, and I love the message that you are providing your audience. My message is also alike because X, Y, and Z. Is there a way that we can collaborate or work together in the future? How can I help you?
Yeah, I really like that format. I encourage people to use that as inspiration. I mean, don't rip it off entirely, but like that's it's a good structure.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I know you talked about this a little bit before we kind of touched on it, but yeah, once your existing clients' programs end, what is your strategy? How should trainers address that?
Make sure that you are addressing these products before they are up, or progressing the programs before they're up. So a lot of, people, especially think about when you're in the gym, before they have their last 3 sessions. If you worked at the big box gyms like me, they're like, okay, make sure that you get them on for the next month for your books. So that's kind of always stayed with me. So for example, about a week or 2 before they're done their training program, I say, okay, Susan, how are we going to continue forward? How am I going to make sure that you're still reaching your goals? And then they'll usually be like, oh, I'm ready to continue going. But just having that conversation before the actual program end date is very, very important to keeping that client on and to keep your revenue going.
Yeah. And I would imagine, just guessing here, but it's also very important to adapt and adjust, especially seasonally, because people's needs change depending on the season. Like coming out of spring into summer, usually, parents are going to be at home more with their kids. They're going to be traveling more, going to their cottage, maybe vacationing, camping, So maybe being able to adapt to the changing needs of your clients at the end of one program and setting them up into a new set of needs moving forward.
Most definitely. Yes. Especially like, for example, if they are doing a lot of more stuff outside with the kids. I know that, they'll tell me I'm getting my X amount of steps in. I'm doing my cycling outside, my walking. I'm like, okay, well, how about this this quarter, this month, will you scale it back to just the habit-based coaching and you're just going to use me as an accountability? Come winter time, when they cannot do all those things, they're like, I need the exercises again. I need the nutrition coaching again. And we put them right back on. But still, like you said, maintaining that client through their stages of life and being their coach.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great tip for everybody at home.
Now that you know how to price your services, make sure you check out our other videos. We cover other business fundamentals like how to attract new clients and how to promote your brand on Instagram. When you put all the pieces together, you're gonna have a thriving online personal training business. So make sure you check those out. Also, if you're brand new to coaching online, make sure you take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Trainerize. You can do that by clicking on the link in the description.